Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington. I'm Lisa Lerman, a member of the Board of Trustees, and I'm honestly thrilled to be here in the sanctuary today. UUCA welcomes all of us, including people of color, immigrants, people with disabilities, people of all faiths, LGBTQ people, and more. We recently have been so pleased to welcome a new second minister, Reverend Carol Thomas Sissel, who is our Minister of Social Justice and Community Development. This service is part of the collaborative summer series of services, Preaching Up the Potomac. What a privilege it is for so many of us to attend virtual services at our sibling congregations. And today, we're delighted to welcome folks from the Fairfax UU congregation, All Souls Church Unitarian, Cedar Lane UU Church, River Road UU congregation, and First UU Wilmington, Delaware. UUCAers and those joining us from those sibling congregations are all invited to join our Zoom coffee hour right after the service. The link for the coffee hour is available on our website and will be posted in the chat for the live stream of the service. The title of today's service is Our Bodies in Real Life. Reverend Amanda Poppei, our beloved senior minister, who's been with us for about a year now, will deliver the sermon, and we'll hear wonderful music by Leah Morris, Mariel Carr, Lori Rottenberg, Sophia Morale, and our handbells choir, which we already heard. Thanks so much, as always, to the church staff and numerous others who work so hard to create these great services.
As is our tradition, we will kindle a chalice flame. We gather together as a community of memory and hope to celebrate life and the infinite possibilities for love. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within every human heart. May our individual sparks meet and merge, bringing both light and warmth to our world. I'm gonna get there. It's gonna happen. We'll just say it again. We gather together as a community of memory and hope to celebrate life and its infinite possibilities for love. We will light this chalice as a symbol of the light within every human heart. May our individual sparks meet and MERGE, merge, bringing both LIGHT and warmth to our world. Amen. It's live too.
Get into your body. Let the rhythm of the moment under your skin get into your body, let love in. Get into your body. Let the rhythm of the moment under your skin get into your body, let love in. Yeah. Get into your body, people. Get into your body, people. Get into your body, people. Let love in. Get into your body, Let the rhythm of the moment, your body, into your body, let love in. Into your body, into your body, into your body, your body, into 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 your body, your body, into your body, into your body, let love into your body, 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 love it. Get your body,
Thank you, Leah Morris, for that beautiful music. Those of you watching at home got to see Leah playing with the looper. And so here, many Leahs folded on top of each other. And thank you so much, Reverend Carol, I felt you would have extended that chalice lighting as long as I needed it, and I just needed a long time this morning. Here we are. We are going to be talking about bodies today. And so I thought it was a good idea for anyone, our youngest among us to our oldest, anytime we talk about bodies is a good time to start with a reminder, right? That my body is my body and your body is your body, and they're different from each other, and also that they belong to us. Right? We get to say who touches our body and how, and we always ask before we give a hug or even a high five. Especially, we do that during COVID, but any time we ask. I just like to start with that because it's a good reminder and part of who we are as a community, that we know the preciousness of our bodies in real life. Our bodies are amazing, I think. I think about that all the time. Of course, they do a lot of stuff, right? Our bodies move, all of them in different ways. Some of our bodies use wheels to move around. Some of us can jump up really high. Some of us can crouch down. Some of us can even get up again when we've crouched down. Some of us, it takes a little bit longer. That's okay. That's just our bodies. But you know, our bodies can talk to us too. Now, they can talk to us like we can make them talk to us. Like, hello, if you're lonely, hello, Reverend Amanda, how you doing? I do that sometimes. I get lonely in virtual life. Or sometimes we can use our bodies to make music, right? We might clap or clap back and forth to each other. If someone said we could, maybe we could make music right like that, or stomp. I don't know if you could do that. Make some noise. Yeah, you could stomp. There you go. You can do it. Or, you can make noise like this with your hands. Have you ever tried that? It's really little. I do think I just demonstrated a fart noise in church. That's what I did. You're welcome, all the other ministers of those lovely sibling congregations. You're welcome. But our bodies talk to us in other ways too. They give us messages sometimes. Now, you might know about magical messages like Harry Potter, who has that lightning scar on his forehead that gives him a message when when that lightning scar hurts, he knows Voldemort is thinking about him. Or what about Spider-Man, who gets spidey sense and knows that danger is near? Some of us get spidey sense too. You know, that sense in your body that it's trying to tell you something before your mind even caught up with it? I know when the barometer is changing because my hands hurt. Anyone else have bodies that give them messages like that? Your knee goes wonky and you think, oh, it's gonna rain. That's nice. Or maybe you all have the kind of body where your tummy feels funny and you realize you might be anxious or worried, even before you know it yourself. I talked with a bunch of grown-ups last week, and I asked them how they knew when they were getting anxious. And do you know, every single one of them told me that their body gave them a clue. Their tummy got funny, or they got really cold and shivery, or they got kind of hot and sweaty. And that if they listened to those clues their body was giving them, then they would know a little earlier what was going on. Well, just like our bodies give us messages, we can give messages back to our bodies, and not just by talking to our hands, though I really do recommend it if you feel alone. We can give messages back to our bodies to help us when we're anxious or worried. We can help them to calm down. My favorite way to do that is by breathing, which sounds like something our bodies do all the time, and that's true. But we can give our bodies special breathing messages. I want to invite you to try that with me, if you will. We're going to try a triangle breath. Some UUCA folks know I've talked about that before. We're going to breathe in on one side of the triangle and then hold our breath for a side and then let it go for a side. And do that again. Let's try. Little by little, our messages tell our body to center down, to let go of our worry, to be present to what is now, so that we might be present to all that is.
Still breathing that triangle in, and hold it, and out. Let yourself be here, right now, present in this space. And join me in the spirit of prayer, of meditation, of in your bodiness here. O glorious, divine Mother Goddess, source of sources, one who reminds us to breathe. That which lives within us, moves around us, and shifts our hearts to do the work of the world. Draw near. Draw near to these people and this place. Draw near to this time in cyberspace. Draw near. We come gratefully, grateful for family, for friends, for longtime companions and newly discovered small kinfolk. Though troubled and challenging, our world offers us delights, grace, and purpose without our needing to ask for any of these things. We are able to see and explore priceless, beautiful vistas from Acadia National Park all the way to Mount Denali in Alaska. We are able to swim in warm oceans that remind us of our bodies being nurtured by the inner sea in utero, in that place of motherhood. As we move through our days, source of sources, let us not be overtaken by beauty, but let us be reminded of the disparity of justice, the threat of voter suppression, the differences in class and education that threaten our children's future. Let us hold up the pain in the world, in Afghanistan, in Africa, and around the globe as we struggle through this COVID pandemic. Source of sources remind us it is only in the seeing that we can begin the work needed to solve these issues. It is only in the seeing that our compassion and strength will combine. It is only in the seeing of each other and of this planet that our internal lens can shift and allow us to see the masses screaming in fear and pain, along with the individual quietly crying his back against the wall. Open our hearts this morning. Open our eyes. Message each cell in our body, O Source. Inform our spirits. Empower us to shape the broken pieces we encounter every single day, to shape them into something new, something whole, something beautiful. O Divine One, draw near to this place and these people and those in cyberspace. Come quickly and refresh our spirits, strengthen us, make us anew today. O dear Spirit of life, draw near. Please come near. Place in our hearts the stirrings of compassion. Sprinkle love, light, and joy onto our lives. Remind us we are in this together. Remind us to breathe, O Spirit. Draw near. Amen. And blessed be.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my to me, come to me.
Our reading this morning is "The Body is Not an Apology." It comes from a text written by Sonia Renee Taylor, who's an award-winning performance poet, activist, and a transformational leader who has a global reach. She's a former national and international poetry slam champion and the author of 2 books. This specific piece is an excerpt from her book, "The Body is Not an Apology: The Power of Radical Self-Love." Sonia says, "A year or so ago, a woman in one of my workshops shared that as a darker-skinned Black ballerina, she felt, from early in her training, as if something was holding her back. Eventually, she concluded it was the color of her skin. What might make this young woman feel as if her Blackness was a disadvantage in her pursuits as a classical dancer? Consider this hypothesis. When we don't see ourselves reflected in the world around us, we make judgments about the absence, about the invisibility. It becomes a statement. When we don't see ourselves reflected in the world around us, it says something about the world and about our place in it. A 2014 MTV study done in collaboration with the David Binder Research Group found that among millennials, 73% of respondents believed that never considering race would improve our entire society. Unfortunately, despite our dreams of a utopic, colorblind planet, this thinking only functions to produce body shame. How many times have you heard or possibly said the following statement: "I don't see color"? Although well-intentioned, not seeing color is ultimately a reflection of our personal challenges of navigating difference. We may be trying to convey how we don't judge people based on racial identity, but color blindness is an act of erasure. Not only does it make invisible all the experiences a person has had that were shaped by their racial identity or color, it implies that to truly respect another human being, we must obscure all areas of difference. Remember this: we live in a world of default bodies. The body we imagined when we close our eyes. The default body becomes the template for the normal body. The only reason we would need to erase someone's difference is because we still equate difference with danger or undesirability. When we say we don't see color, what we're truly saying is, I don't want to see the things about you that are different because society has told me that they are dangerous or undesirable. Ignoring difference does not change society, nor does it change the experience non-normative bodies must have to navigate, simply to survive. Rendering difference invisible validates the notion that there are parts of us that must be hidden, ignored, or minimized. leaving in place the unspoken idea that difference is the problem and not our approach to dealing with differences. Proposing that humans are all the same leaves the idea of the default body in our subconscious and firmly in place in our world. And what that does is force all other bodies to conform, to make themselves the same, or to be rendered invisible. The body is not an apology.
Well, between that reading and that prayer and Spirit of Life, I feel like I already went to church. It is good to be with you. Because we are talking about bodies today, before we continue, I want to take just a moment, because even talk about bodies reminds us of the way our bodies hold memory. Bessel van der Kolk, the author of The Body Keeps the Score, reminds us in that book that our bodies often remember dates or moments before our minds do. Our bodies might remember that we lost our favorite uncle in November by feeling exhausted at the end of October, even before we've checked the date on the calendar. And even talking about bodies might bring up that noticing. And so if that is true for you as we consider bodies, if you notice your body holding something difficult, I just invite you to bring yourself back to this moment, to take a breath, focus on something in the room where you are. Center yourself. I've been thinking about bodies ever since this summer. I went to visit Hancock Shaker Village in upstate New York, where my family lives. I'd been wanting to go with the kids for a while. It's sort of a preserved village from the 19th century where the Shakers lived. The Shakers were a Christian sect, grew up in the 19th century. There are only a few Shakers still alive today, but there are a few. And they lived in community together. They were a celibate sect, so they had men and women living separately. And they had what felt like a peaceful existence, and their place, this farm, was gorgeous to walk around. Pastoral in the field way of pastoral, and maybe also pastoral in the way of calm and centered, spiritual. I thought of the Quakers as kind of quiet, plain clothing, plain dress, plain things around them, beautiful but simple furniture and goods they created to live their lives in an orderly and neat way. And while I was there, we went to a demonstration of Shaker song and dance. And I was reminded that although they were orderly and neat and plain spoken, the Shakers started and were persecuted, and in fact named, Shaker was a slur, really an epithet, because of their ecstatic worship, their dancing during worship. You might know the famous Shaker song, "'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to end up where you want to be." We think of the simple part, but the song goes on to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. They meant it like for real, to bow and to bend, to move our bodies in dance, in worship. The Shakers ended up, it turns out, creating more orderly dances over time, though then there was kind of a renaissance, a age of miracles, of inspiration, in which they returned to their roots in ecstatic dance. As I went through the Shaker village with this new idea in my mind of the way their bodies were important in their spiritual lives, I noticed something else. They have a sick room in their gathering space, rooms to visit and rooms to sleep, and then a room for folks who were sick or dying. They actually innovated a number of medical devices, a special cane that had sort of a set of 4 stops so that it was sturdier, and a bed that you could raise and lower. And then, most movingly to me, an adult-size cradle. A cradle big enough for an adult body that was sick or in pain to be rocked, to be held and comforted just the way we comfort our babies. The Shakers, in many ways, seem as though they are very different from us Unitarian Universalists, although I will note they were actually little u Unitarian, as in they didn't believe in the Trinity. They were not big U Unitarian, as in they were part of the movement that became Unitarian Universalism. And I'll also note that with those divisions, they did believe in full gender equality, one of the few 19th century religious movements founded by a woman, Mother Ann Lee. But in many other ways, they do seem different. We, in Unitarian Universalism, don't preach celibacy for all. In fact, we take seriously comprehensive sexuality education for our children and our youth and for ourselves as well. And then, of course, there's the dancing in worship part. I would like if Unitarian Universalists danced in worship, but I don't see it that much. Maybe someday soon. Oh, look, I got a little applause there. In fact, sometimes Unitarian Universalism is seen as a disembodied faith, stuck in our heads, in the legacy of the Enlightenment, in intellectualism, thinking our way toward faith, thinking our way toward justice, thinking our way toward community. And these days, of course, we could hardly be more different than the Shakers, living as they did all together, gathering daily. Our lives have been separate for so long, existing on the screen, disembodied from each other. So all of this thinking about bodies and embodiment has me wondering what it means for us now. We Unitarian Universalists, in this moment where the virtual and the real life are connecting together in new and surprising ways. What does it mean for us to be an embodied faith? What does that mean for how we understand our own bodies? How we love them? What does it mean for how we understand other people's bodies? How the world can love them? And what do we do with all of that as we are getting used to being bodies in the same room together after so long? We have been a virtual people these 18 months. It is time now to get physical. Thanks, Sophia. So that's a lot of questions to consider. Perhaps we can start with the easiest, or it could be the hardest. It's the most theological, anyway. What does it mean to be an embodied faith? One that is not just about what we think, but about what we feel, about what it is to have a body. Despite the fact that Unitarian Universalism is often called a disembodied faith, or we imagine ourselves to be stuck in our heads, I actually believe that we have right within our theological grounding the core of embodiment. Humanism is a part of Unitarian Universalism, both a particular theological grounding in Unitarian Universalism, like many others, and also a kind of thread that runs through it. Now, when I'm talking about humanism as that thread, I'm not necessarily talking about the humanism that evolved from the Enlightenment, though there are roots there. I'm talking about the humanism we see today, lived out by many different people around the world, the humanism that says that at the heart of our community, at the heart of our faith is human experience. My life, your life, my body and yours. In fact, I would make the argument that Unitarian Universalism could be seen as the most embodied faith, focused not on what happens later or elsewhere, but on the here and now, us in this moment here. Perhaps like me, you love the Peter Mayer song, "Everything is Holy Now," where he names the cardinal, the water he touches, everything around him, holy now. Okay, so if indeed Unitarian Universalism can be an embodied faith, and if we know ourselves to be about our first principle, right, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, which sometimes I like to think of as every person matters, or maybe every person is worthy of love. If we think about that principle as relates to our bodies, just even our own bodies, I mean yours and mine, well, then I think it takes us to the second question: how do we love our bodies, starting right where we are, whatever body you are inhabiting today? It's like that first principle, inherent worth and dignity of every person, is easy on a theoretical level, not so easy when you get to the nitty-gritty, and sometimes hardest when applied to ourselves, when thinking about our own deep worth and mattering. And that is surely true for many of us when we think about our bodies, the ones we inhabit right now. Sonia Renee Taylor, in her book, The Body Is Not an Apology, invites us into what she calls radical self-love. Radical self-love. Radical like at the root. And also like revolutionary, like resistance. For decades, Sonia Renee Taylor writes, I spread out before the world a buffet of apologies. I apologized for laughing too loudly, being too big, too dark, flamboyant, outspoken, analytical. I watched countless others roll out similar scrolls of contrition. We made these apologies because our bodies had disabilities and needed access. We made them because our bodies were aging and slower, because our gender identity was different than the sex we were assigned at birth, and it confused strangers. We apologized for our weight, race, sexual orientation. We were told there is a right way to have a body, and our apologies reflected our indoctrination into that belief. We believed there was indeed a way in which our bodies were wrong. End quote. Taylor invites us to notice the problem, the ways in which we have been asked to apologize for our bodies, the way in which the world has told us there is a default body, a right one out there, and the others are wrong. And she invites us into radical self-love as an act of resistance against that lie. I want to say a word on gender here, because I think sometimes talking about bodies and about loving our bodies can be framed as a women's issue. It often shows up that way in political conversation and popular culture. Of course, we know that how we understand our bodies, and especially how other people see our bodies, is particularly a place of need for radical self-love and resistance for those of us whose gender identity does not match our sex assigned at birth, or whose gender expression seems to be outside the binary. Also, too, those of us who identify as men experience the need for radical self-love. Dennis Campbell wrote an article for The Guardian several years ago in which he says, more men worry about their body shape and appearance, beer bellies, man boobs, or going bald, than women do about how they look, according to research. More than 4 in 5 men talk in ways that promote anxiety about their body image by referring to perceived flaws and imperfections, compared with 75% of women. Similarly, I want you to listen to this one. 38% of men in this research study would sacrifice at least a year of their life in exchange for a perfect body. Again, a higher proportion than women, end quote. I think, along with many emotional experiences, men don't always talk as much about how they feel about their bodies. Hashtag patriarchy hurts everyone. But all of us, I suspect, have had moments of feeling that our bodies were not the default body. Some of us much more than others. Some of us who have been told our bodies are not at all what is acceptable in our society, whose bodies are victims of violence in our society. All of us, though, might be called toward radical self-love for our bodies. Sonia Renee Taylor talks about a concept called body neutrality, which I ran across a couple years ago and I liked. It seemed more achievable to me, body neutrality. Just feel like okay about your body, or don't hate your body, maybe. That felt like a bar I could get to. Sonia Renee Taylor would tell us it's only a way station. No, she wants us to move toward radical self-love. It makes me think of the approach to bodies in the Sikh religion. Within Sikhism, The body is seen as a gift from God. Every hair on it. Not like in the my body is my temple way, which is mostly just used to, tell people not to eat junk food, but really, the body as a symbol of divine generosity. Sometimes when I need help getting to radical self-love, I think about that. Every hair on our heads. Every hair anywhere, a gift from God. So, okay, if bodies are theologically important to us, if they are important to us as Unitarian Universalists, if we are invited, therefore, to love our own bodies radically, how does that connect to our justice work? This is my favorite part of Taylor's book, actually, in which she tells us that radical self-love is really about creating an entirely different world. A radical self-love world, she writes, is a world that works for every body. Creating such a world is an inside-out job. Taylor reminds us that the violence we see around the world is violence done to bodies, real bodies. When we speak of the ills of the world, she writes, violence, poverty, injustice, we are not speaking conceptually. We are talking about things that happen to bodies. When we say millions around the world are impacted by the global epidemic of famine, what we are saying is that millions of humans are experiencing the physical deterioration of muscle and other tissue due to lack of nutrients in their bodies. Racism, sexism, ableism, homo and transphobia, ageism, fat phobia are algorithms created by human struggle to make peace with the body. A radical self-love world is a world free from the systems of oppression that make it difficult and sometimes deadly to live in our bodies. These isms, Taylor tells us, they are about bodies. And so just the way that work for justice comes out of our understanding of the inherent worth of every person, a work for a world where all bodies can be safe and honored starts with our understanding that all bodies are worthy of love. Yours and mine. It's impossible, of course, to think about bodies and systems of oppression without thinking about disability justice in particular. It's an area where I have been learning the last couple of years and will be learning still as someone whose body mostly does what I ask it to do these days. What I am learning is about moving the location of the problem. The problem is not the body. The body is not an apology. The problem is the way society is set up so that only some bodies have access to some spaces. Who said we should have stairs instead of ramps everywhere? The body is not an apology. Okay, we're wrapping up soon, I promise. Now, let's see. If we have decided, perhaps, that Unitarian Universalism can indeed be an embodied faith, perhaps even is called to be, and that part of that means loving our own bodies and loving bodies, creating a world where all bodies can be loved and safe. What does all that mean for us now, in this moment, when we haven't been bodies together for so long? When we have to practice being bodies with each other, right? Remember that first time you were in the presence of someone not in your pod? I couldn't figure out where to stand. You know, if I'm going in a store now and someone holds the door open, I can't figure out if I'm supposed to go in or I'm supposed to not go in, or I sort of wave to them like I'm really, really awkward. We're practicing right now having bodies in this space to see if we can do it. What do we know? What can we learn about bodies right now? I think that we actually are at an amazing moment for resetting how we are as bodies with each other. Because of COVID, we are already asking, are we wearing masks outside today? Are you comfortable to take them off? Shall we keep them on? Are you hugging, or shall we elbow bump? We are learning how to practice radical consent with each other, with each other's bodies. It's an opportunity for us to learn how to be bodies with each other in a way that we own, each one of us, our bodies. At the same time, it can be scary. Our bodies may have changed over the last 18 months. They may be bigger or smaller. Our hair may have more gray, or there may be less of it, or it may be purple. Our bodies may have birthed a baby. They may have more muscle or less. I know I can feel some nervousness about how my body will be perceived by someone who has only seen me in a 12-inch screen for a long time, when I have been able to control their image of me pretty tightly. This is a time for us to have compassion with our bodies and with each other's. Now, you know, Unitarian Universalist ministers don't usually tell you what to do. It's not really on brand for us. But I am going to go ahead and tell you one thing as we regather as bodies, which is to keep your comments to yourself. As we regather, unsure about our bodies in space, our bodies that have changed, do you know the best comment to someone you haven't seen? I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to be here with you. How are you today? A chance for us to reset how we are with each other, how we are with our own bodies. Good grief, are you still with me? We have to be in our bodies, we have to love them, we have to love each other's bodies, because that's what we are, people with bodies, and build a world that loves all bodies, which it surely does not yet, and to respect each other's space and bodies. That's a lot. I think we probably need a blessing to wrap this up. This one is from the Unitarian Universalist minister, the late Nancy Schaefer. A blessing for bodies. May we, creatures of bone and tissue, know our bodies well. The fourth rib and how it rises higher than the third, not so high as fifth. How it feels to the thumb, slowly traced, and under it, how the heart rests. May we know that space where no ribs lie, and unshielded we bend. May we know the bottom of each toe, and that tender arch where no skin touches ground, also skin smoothed soft by clothing. May we know the quick curve of the head before it sits on the spine, and the tiny hollow just behind the ear, the length of the forearm lifting food to lips, and how lips become a circle waiting. And knowing this, cease our study of war. Amen and amen, Reverend Schaefer. Amen, Sonia Renee Taylor, prophet of body love. Amen, Edward Roberts and disability rights activists. Amen, Mother Ann Lee of the Shakers. Amen, Spider-Man and our bodies who give us spidey sense. May the blessings of bodies fall down upon us, and may our bodies, however they look, feel, and move, bless the world back.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me, oh, 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 oh. Another round of bullets hits my skin. We'll fire away, 'cause today I won't let this shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors, that's what we've become. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me, oh, 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 this is me. And I know that I deserve your love. There is nothing I'm not worthy of. Oh, oh, oh. The sharpest words wanna cut me down. I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is proof, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me, oh, 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 this is me.
So I have to follow that, right? Whoa. When I was 14, I did not stand up in front of church and sing like that. I did not. That was just fantastic. One of the blessings in this space, in this congregation, is music. So far today, we have had piano, we have had organ, we have had handbells, and we have had one of our youngest voices stand in front of us and proclaim, "This is me." We are so blessed. So blessed. When we hold those blessings in our hands, one of our jobs is to do what? Is to cast them upon the waters. Is to share our blessings in whatever way we can. This month, in August, our Share the Plate recipient is Culpeper Garden. Culpeper Garden provides affordable housing and services for seniors here in Arlington County. It was founded in 1969 by Arlington Retirement Housing Corporation. That's a nonprofit that was established by UUCA. The land that was sold at a deeply reduced price for this purpose was sold by Dr. Charles Culpeper, a member of UUCA. What do they do there? They help people. They offer affordable, independent, and assisted living housing, along with other deeply needed services to low-income seniors in our county. In recent years, Culpeper Garden, an award-winning community, has taken on new challenges. It devotes nearly half of its 73 assisted living apartments to individuals who cannot afford to pay the already subsidized fees. Medicaid in Virginia does not cover such expenses, and Culpeper Garden must raise up to $100,000 annually to cover a shortfall. Their vision is this, and I love this vision. In Arlington, all older persons will have access to affordable housing and services that foster autonomy, dignity, and well-being. Culpeper Garden needs our support to turn what they call their vision into reality. In August, 70% of all monies received through the Sunday collection will be shared with Culpeper Garden. The remaining 30% will go towards continuing UUCA's work toward justice. You can offer your support in a number of ways. You can mail a good old paper check to UUCA. Make sure you put Culpeper Garden on the memo line. You can use PayPal at UUCAVA. You can use one of the many other methods that are listed on our website. Find our website, UUCAVA.org. Find the giving page and give deeply from the heart and as often as possible. We try to make it easy for you to give at UUCA so you can enrich the lives of others through our gifts. As we move into this time of sharing, I offer a blessing that you all have heard before. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for there are those who do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others. Let us be grateful.
I sing the body electric. I celebrate the me yet to come. I toast to my own reunion when I become one with the sun. And I'll look back on Venus, I'll look back on Mars, and I'll burn with the fires of 10 million stars. And in time, we will all be stars. I sing the body electric. trick. I glory in the glow of rebirth, creating my own tomorrow, when I shall embody the earth. And I'll serenade Venus, I'll serenade Mars, and I'll burn with the fire of 10 million stars. And in time, we will all be stars. We are the emperors now, and we are the czars. And in time, we will all be stars.
In time, we will all be stars, made of stardust as our bodies are. In time, we will all know how to love ourselves radically, revolutionarily. In time, this world will be one where there is no default body. There is only all of us, our bodies, beautiful and beloved. In time, and may that time begin now.